Syndie Christmas is a contestant on Britain's Got Talent, and she provides an awesome example for us how to achieve success with money with her performance the other night. Her performance the other night was so good that after the show, people and judges were comparing her to Adele, like basically the top 1% of musicians. Now you might be saying, how does a singer on a music show give us a lesson about money? Keep in mind, as you'll see, she's 28 years old and she was working as a receptionist at a gym. Not exactly the money model, right? That's what you might think. But she's going to provide us 3 huge lessons I'm going to go through. But if you can master these things that I'm going to walk through with you today on this video and in this podcast, then the money success for you is going to be there. Now, to give you a hint of what we're going to be talking about today, it's what we oftentimes talk about on this podcast and on this YouTube channel. Okay. Yes, we talk about dollars and cents and tips and tricks that 18 to 40-year-old young professionals can do, but this is bigger than that. Okay. We talk a lot about mindset, and I oftentimes say, if you don't have that mindset right and how you think about money, then the actual dollars and cents, it doesn't matter how much you have or how much you don't have, you'll never be financially free. So that's what Syndie Christmas teaches us. It's 3 valuable lessons of what we need to think. And I'm going to give you ways to do this. So make sure you stay till the end, because at the end, I'm going to walk you through exactly what to do. So let's jump into the episode.
Hello.
Hello, darling.
Hello, everyone. My name's Sydnie Christmas.
Is it?
Sydnie Christmas.
So like when this first 8 to 10 seconds of the clip, like when I first saw this, I was like, oh no, this is going to be one of those ones where they air where it's like really bad, right? That was my first impression. So keep that in mind.
It's an unbelievable name. I love that.
It's terrible, isn't it?
It's not.
My middle name's worse.
What is it?
Mary.
No. Sydnie Merry Christmas. Did your mum seriously name you that?
No, I'm joking. I really
Okay.
All right, so in that clip, my impression completely flip-flopped right away, meaning when I'm looking at this, do you know how hard it is to basically have your dream on stage in front of these 4 judges that could change your life in a packed auditorium, all the shining lights, and you go out there and you're so relaxed that you're joking? Like, that changed my mind about her before anything. Okay, so let's jump back into the next clip.
Are you a student? Do you work? What do you do?
I'm currently working front of house at a gym.
Oh, brilliant. Yes. Fantastic, but that's not what you want to do.
No, absolutely not.
What do you...
No.
What do you want to do, Sydnie?
I'm trying to be in the West End. I just want to sing.
Oh, bless her.
What are you going to sing for us today?
The first song that I ever sung, actually. I haven't sung it in 24 years.
How old are you? You look 24.
28.
All right, so this is really important because at the end of the video, when we start talking about how to do these things, I'm going to come back and point this out. She says, I just want to sing. Now, that's what she wants her identity to be, because I'm assuming that she wants to inspire people and help people. That's one of the things that artists do, that singers do, okay? Now, I just wanted to point that clip out. Like I said, when we start digging deeper into this in a few minutes, I'm going to dive deep. I'm going to come back to this clip because it's so important.
There you go.
So what song did you sing at 4?
Tomorrow.
From Annie?
From Annie, yeah.
Simon, that is Simon's worst song.
Hopefully I'll sing it better than when I was 4 as well.
So do we.
When Simon did this, I was like, oh no. Like, this is bad, right? Can you imagine, again, being on stage, your dreams are all there, and the song that you pick, one of the judges gives you that type of response, okay? A lot of people would just melt, okay? She didn't.
Come on, Sydnie.
Come on, Sydnie.
Let's have it.
Okay, so in this clip, there's 2 things to point out, okay? 1, she has the judges excited. They want to. You can see them like on the edge of their chair. They're hoping that she's going to be good. Why? Because of the personality that she had created. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, I'm going to actually play this clip again because I want you to see this. It's so important.
Come on, Sydnie.
Come on, Sydnie.
Let's have it.
here in that clip, she closes her eyes and gathers herself and gets ready to sing. That is called identity shifting. Okay? You see a lot of actors and actresses do it all the time. When they go from one character to another, they get so involved in that character that's what they become. And the better you get at your identity, the more you can start shifting it in different situations. And that's going to be one of the big things we talk about in this video. As I mentioned earlier, when we get to the end, I'm going to be talking about identity more and more and how you can use this. But I wanted to point that out in the clip because that is like one of the most important things that you can take away in this clip is that, or in this podcast, in this video, is that specific clip.
The sun will come out tomorrow, bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun. Just thinking about tomorrow, bet your bottom dollar that
in this clip, I actually spliced together 3 different clips from throughout the performance. In the first one, you can tell by the judge's reaction. They love this version of the song Tomorrow. Okay, it was actually a version I had never heard before. When she started singing it, I was like, wow, that is fantastic. Okay, then in the next clip, like she's singing, she already has one of the judges in tears. Not only that, but Simon's already smiling about it. That's how good it was. And I'm going to show you something because this is going to lead into the first lesson of character. Okay, let me show you this clip real fast.
Tomorrow, I love you. Tomorrow, you're always a day away.
And with that, this leads to lesson number 1. Okay, those of you that have been familiar with this channel, when we talk about mindset stuff, it's developing a character. Who are you? What does that character do? Like, what is their profession? How do they dress? Where do they live? What's their family life like? What's their car look like? What's everything about them? How are they smiling? Okay. Again, actors and actresses are very good at this. And actually, I watched some other interviews with her. She is also an actor singer. So she used that background to craft these characters when she came out there. I mean, this was so powerful. She goes from getting the crowd to like her to in her song being this powerful courage, like, and then almost like she at the end goes into another character where she's crying. That emotional roller coaster, like, literally had the judges in tears. And listen to it. I mean, even these judges said
How to make an audience want more. Tease them, bring them in, make them believe, hit them with this huge note. It's just art. It's not art.
I think for me, what struck me so much about you is just like how naturally funny, how warm, how brilliant your presence was the minute you walked on the stage, but how you were like entertaining everyone, but then you brought us the most heartfelt, beautiful version of that song. And that was the best version I've ever heard in my life.
Way up high.
Sydney, look at that! Look at that!
and you saw the 2 people backstage like pointing to the audience like in their reaction, right? Well, they didn't say this on the show, but I dug deeper into her background. You see, she, as I mentioned, is an actor singer, but she had never gotten a lead role, and she even says, quote, I was always extremely hard on myself. I always wanted perfection. Basically what she was saying was that she was so focused on the negative side of things that whenever she would audition, she had a fear. She had a fear of messing up because she was so focused on the negative. In this performance, she let that fear go. She finally said, look, I'm taking all these things in as experiences that I can learn from. I've learned from them. What do I have to fear? In fact, as she states in the beginning, she's now 28 years old, working at a front desk of a gym. What does she have to lose? Nothing. That's why she went on the show to begin with. That's what another thing that she had said in an interview. I have nothing to lose. It allowed her to have that personality to come out, that laughing, that character, the funny one that comes out and all that type of stuff. I mean, look at what Simon did in the beginning of that, right? When she said, I'm singing tomorrow, and that initial reaction 10 years ago, I could bet if she would have been on that show 10 years ago and that would have happened, she probably would have crumbled and made mistakes and not let her true skill come out. So, one of the biggest lessons I want you guys to remember is that fear oftentimes blocks us financially as well. Fear of like retirement, like the fear of this, the fear of that. We don't do things, it clouds our mind of making better decisions on what we should do with our money, what we should do with our life, so on and so forth. That is also why that letting go of that fear, why I think she chose Tomorrow. Because she said, this was the song, my very first song I ever sung when I was 4 years old. That 4-year-old had no fears. They were just singing to sing. And that was, again, it's her letting everything go and just saying, I've taught myself. I've done this. I mean, could you imagine being like a physical therapist, for example, that you go to treat patients and you're constantly critiquing yourself? Like I did this so bad. When you go to see the next patient, you're going to be worried you're going to mess up again, right? Same thing with the doctor, same thing with the nurse, same thing with all that stuff. You're worried about messing up. What you should be doing is like a lesson that I learned is yes, you think about what you did wrong and you think about it for 5 or 10 minutes. You always go back and then you take that and you turn it into a positive to say next time I'm in this situation, this is exactly what I'm going to do. I learned that from sports, specifically Michael Jordan, right? He would go by himself for like 20 to 30 minutes after a game just to think about the stuff he did bad, and then he would go after that for an hour and think of all the good things that he did. And that's how he kept building that confidence and that ability. And that was his character, was the best basketball player in the world, and nothing was going to stop him from getting there. Okay, same thing with Sydney. I'm a great singer. I got these acting skills. I have the ability to do this, whereas other people don't with the emotions. Ride that emotion curve. Take the audience with you, take the listener with you, right? And she just finally said, I'm going to let it go. And boom, she's getting her big break right now. That leads to the third lesson, the big lesson that I wanted to walk through with you guys. It goes back to that clip that I showed you where she said, I just want to sing. Why does she say that? Again, deep down, her identity is singing. It brings out the best in people. Song, music, that's what it does. That's her identity. And so, for those of you that are familiar with the channel, you've heard me say this before, but I'm going to repeat it again, especially for those that have never heard this channel, this podcast, right? I have this formula, this your identity equals your beliefs, which equals your thoughts, which equals your reaction, which equals your reality. Like in the past, she might have said something like, as she started off, that she wanted to be a singer to do that, but she got distracted. Society moved her away from that. They changed her identity to that of being a field singer. You're not an actor. You're a front desk person. You're poor. You have no money. Had she gone in there with those fears and that mentality, that identity, those actions would not have taken place. They would have been far worse. Okay. But instead, she said, look, I'm going to let go of that fear. My identity is this. I just want to sing to help people. And she had the belief, right? She let it go. She's like, I've done this before. I've been doing this since I was 4 years old. I have this thought of going on BGT. Like, this is it. Here we go. She took action. And the reality is I personally, I think that she's going to win. I don't watch TV that often, but so I don't know the other contestants. But it's like just seeing how she takes that character and can move the crowd like that. That's a skill that many people don't have. And it's like, oh my gosh, the reality portion, the score takes care of itself. Those of you again that have heard this podcast and this channel a lot, the score takes care of itself. It's a book by Bill Walsh, the old football coach, that talks about this stuff all the time. Like for her, the reality is the score takes care of herself. Maybe she'll win the contest, maybe she won't. Either way, she is now recognized. She will get jobs singing. She will do what she gets to, like what she loves to do. And so each one of you can take that clip and that entire performance and learn from it to say, what do I want my identity to be? Because that identity is then going to shift and develop my beliefs, which I'm going to see thoughts of this and that and this as things go by. I have thoughts because my beliefs lead to those thoughts. That's going to cause me to take action, which will then make the score take care of itself, meaning reality will be there. Again, how does that equate to money? Because like I said, the score takes care of itself. That might equate to being $1 million for you. It might equate to $50,000, but it won't matter because you are going to be doing something that you love to do and you are doing your passion. That score takes care of itself. At that point, $50,000 would be enough for you because you're going to be happy. You're not distracted by material things, this or that, because those outside influences, they can't influence your character anymore. They can't influence your identity anymore because you're conscious of that. So now you're financially free. That could lead to $50,000. It could lead to $1 million. Now, this is what I've learned is that if you master those things that I talked about today, so things like the character building, the letting go of the fear, and the biggest one is developing your identity and going through that process, you will end up in the top 1, 2, 3% of whatever profession you're doing. Like I said, people were comparing her to Adele. That's top 1%, right? If you do the same thing, again, if you're a PT, a nurse, whatever it is, and that's what your identity is, and you go through those things, you are going to make a lot of money. And I know that for a fact because, I mean, even for myself, you guys have heard my story in the past. I'm not going to go through it on this podcast and in this video. But I've done this stuff for myself. Like I work, 18, 19 hours a day. People say I work. I don't work. This is my identity. I love doing it. But more importantly, like when we first started FitBucks, like I sat down with I think probably 9 or 10 different PTs that I had met from different workshops and webinars and whatnot. PTs, that those of you that don't know what that is, that's a physical therapist. Okay, some of them were like my wife's friends and whatnot. And I went through these exercises with them about character building, letting go of fear, developing that identity, and how important it is. And every single one of them is in the top of their fields now. Every single one of them. And every single one of them is making like $170,000, $180,000, $190,000 a year, whereas most PTs are stuck making like 90 to 100, 110, I think is the average, something like that. And that's for people that have a lot of experience, not necessarily new grads. I'm just talking about like people that have experience. The average PT is like 109 or 90,000 or 100,000 or something like that. And there's far past that because the score takes care of itself if that's what your focus is on and that's your identity. And once you get really good at this stuff, you can do what she did, where Syndie Christmas did, where she is shifting that character because each character has their own identity. So she came out with one identity and one character, and she shifted it to another one, and in mid-song, she shifted it to another one. So as you get good with this stuff, you could do the same thing. When I'm Joseph Ranke, founder of FitBucks, and I'm working with my employees, I have one character and one identity. When I'm going out to talk with, webinars and whatnot, I have another identity. When I'm there with my daughter, those work identities, those FitBucks identities, they're gone. I'm not even thinking about them. I'm a dad. That's my identity at that point. So as you get really good at this stuff, you start shifting them and have multiple ones. But don't do that in the beginning. Have one and go from there. All right. Now, the next steps that you guys need to take